everybody. We are in our favorite spot once again, the kitchen. And with all the different holidays approaching, our Connecticut-style family decided that we wanted to try and bring you a little bit of everything. Now, Hanukkah kicks off tonight, and there are certain traditions and special foods you eat during Hanukkah. And one of those dishes you might find on the menu is potato latkes. And here to share more on how you and I can make them on our own is Chef Rebecca Oren from the Rudd Center for Food Policy and Obesity at Yale University. That's a lot to say. Rebecca, welcome.
Thanks. Nice to see you again.
Glad to have you. Now, did I say that right? Potato latkes?
Yes, you did.
Because your husband Ben says latkes.
He does, and you know, just like there's a million different ways to say it, there are a million different ways to prepare them, and every single family that eats them has a different time-honored tradition for how they do them.
Okay.
This one's a little bit new, but this is my way of doing them, and I think they're great.
And you're on the show, so we're making it Chef Rebecca style.
Yes.
All right, let's dive in. Walk us through what we're going to do with making the potato latkes.
So potato latkes traditionally are a mixture of plain old russet baking potatoes, sometimes some grated onion, some matzo meal, and some egg to hold it all together. I've tried to amp up the nutrition here, and so we've got some shredded potatoes, regular old baking potatoes, but I'm adding sweet potatoes and zucchini, both of which are really high in fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C.
Wow.
The sweet potatoes have protein, iron. It's really great. It's a great way to just amp up the nutrition.
So that means I can have like 3 instead of 1.
Yes,
no.
Well, moderation is always key, but it is the holidays, and I think that you can safely have more than one of these.
All right, sounds good. And I do want to say what's really special about this, you and I were talking, I mean, this is a tradition for you. You grew up eating latkes.
Yes, I did.
And your mom, you said you used to make them, used to grate them.
She makes her potatoes and her onions much finer, so they come out thinner and lacier and almost the consistency of like a regular pancake, just a little bit smaller. I like to make them chunkier. I use the shredding disc on a food processor. You could also use the wide holes on a hand grater, so you don't really need any special equipment.
Okay.
But I like to make them a little chunkier, a little thicker, and mine are big and crispy on the outside.
I love that. All right, let's dive in. So where am I going to start?
So the first thing that I'm going to have you do is actually combine the dry ingredients.
Okay.
We've got 1/3 cup of flour.
Okay.
You can just dump it into that little bowl.
Okay.
2 teaspoons of that salt that's right there.
Okay, perfect. 2 teaspoons of salt.
Yep.
Okay.
And cinnamon and cumin.
Cinnamon
now,
and cumin, put that there. Cinnamon. Okay.
I've never seen cinnamon and cumin in potato latkes before this, but I think they give a tremendous amount of warmth and depth. Ooh, and crack a little pepper in there,
Crack
too.
a little bit of pepper. Okay. Now, am I going to stir this up at all?
You're going to use the whisk. The whisk gives you a nicely blended dry mixture. That's good with the pepper. And in the meantime, I'm going to come over here and add all of these shredded vegetables. So I've got the regular potatoes.
Okay. And how many potatoes did you use?
I used 2 russet potatoes.
Okay.
This is 1 shredded zucchini.
Okay.
And again, I use the shredding disc on a food processor. Can do it if on the hand grater. Absolutely works just as well.
You got that kind of time, I hear you. Yeah, right? It takes a little bit longer. Okay.
This is 1 large sweet potato. And you see, I mean, this is not a lot of vegetables, but it really creates a lot of volume. And 1 small shredded sweet onion.
Okay.
I'm going to throw
now,
this in here.
start to finish, though, how long would you say this would take you to make?
I would say probably about 45 minutes from the time that you start combining all of these ingredients to the time you take the last latke off the pan. You'd be ready to eat in about 45 minutes.
Sounds good to me. Okay.
So I'm going to have you go ahead and stir these together. In the meantime, I'm going to whisk up 2 whole eggs and 2 egg whites.
Okay. Now, what else did you grow up eating when you were around Hanukkah?
Well, potato latkes were really our staple. I think in most Jewish families, come Hanukkah time, everybody's eating potato latkes, again, made a different way in every single house.
Right.
But all holidays in my house really revolved around food. So we would have potato latkes, some sort of meat dish. As long as we were cooking and eating together, it was a holiday.
Because it's about family, isn't it? I mean, you're together with your family.
Really is.
Okay. So now what are we going to do here?
So I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of lemon just to keep these potatoes from changing color. Potatoes will get dark as they sit out once they've been peeled, so I'm going to squeeze in a little bit of lemon, similar to how you would do with apples in an apple pie to keep the apples from turning brown. This is going to keep your potatoes from turning brown since these are going to sit out for a little bit while you cook them.
Okay.
So it ends up being about 2 teaspoons of lemon that we squeeze in there.
Okay.
I'm going to throw in the 2 whole eggs and 2 egg whites that I've whisked together. That's going to go in there. And then I'm going to have you put those dry ingredients in.
Okay. Dump that in there.
And dump it all in together.
All right. And am I going to stir this now?
Yes. Give it a good stir as much as you can.
Okay. All right. And what kind of consistency are we going for here?
Well, you just want to combine all of that stuff together. You know, at home, if I really wanted to get on with it. I would stick my clean hand in there.
Mix it with yes.
Mix it with my hands.
Okay, we won't do that.
Rinse them off. And but here we'll use a spoon.
Okay, I like that. All right,
that looks perfect.
Okay.
The next step, and this is something that not everybody does, but I found it to be tremendously helpful because potatoes and zucchini and onions, they release so much moisture. We're going to take this bowl and dump it right into this colander that's set over another bowl right next to the stove.
Because our goal here is to get rid of any of that excess water, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you can press those down a little bit.
Okay.
And we're just going to leave them in here while we cook.
Okay.
And the moisture is going to come out the bottom, and it's going to be helpful in creating a crispier pancake.
All right. So now we're going for the canola oil.
We are going for the canola oil. Good fats. We're not using a lot of oil, but oil is critical to this recipe. Oil is critical to the overall story of Hanukkah. So as much as I've tried to do these without oil, and I have tried,
doing it.
They just don't work.
Okay.
So use a little bit. You don't need a lot. You don't need to deep fry them. We're just going to pan fry them.
Okay.
With about a tablespoon.
All right.
Looks like that.
Now, are we wanting them we want them crispy and golden brown on the outside, right?
Yes, we want them really crispy and golden.
Okay.
And for that, you really need to have good hot oil in a good hot pan because you want them to really sizzle when we put them in there.
Now what are we going to do?
So you can do it a couple different ways. I like mine a little bit free-form, so I just take tongs, again, to help get some of the moisture out of there.
I like when you say free-form because that just means they can look any way you want them to look, right?
Yep, and I just put a big clump down.
Okay.
Yep, just like that. And
it's kind of like making pancakes, though.
It's exactly like making pancakes.
Right? Okay.
Or a hash brown. I'm going to sneak around you and
Okay,
grab
I'm going to make a couple of this because we got a big crew here. We got Big Daddy in the distance. Gail Simmons is going to want some in a little bit. We got Moody over here, the whole family. Tracy, my director. Don't worry, Tracy. I got you, too.
And, I mean, these are a crowd pleaser no matter what. You can make them a little smaller if you want to do them as appetizers. If you've got a lot of people coming over, you can make them bigger if you want them part of the main course. So once you've put them in the pan, I just take a fork.
Okay.
Kind of flatten them out a little bit.
All right.
Set to medium-high heat, and I just let them go for 3 to 4 minutes. You'll start to see the edges crisp up.
Okay.
After they've been on about a minute, I usually take the pan, I give it a little shake just to get them unstuck, and I let them go. Again, flip them over, give them 3 to 4 minutes on the other side.
On each side.
Watch them, though, because you need them to cook through, so you may need to lower the heat a little bit on the second side. But after a batch or two, you're going to have it down no problem.
Now, we're going to transform the timer, kind of push the time ahead.
This is TV time.
This is TV time, but Chef Rebecca knows now. All right, they would come out looking like this, right?
Yes, so these have been flipped over and have been cooking here about 7 or 8 minutes.
All right.
And you can see they're nice and crispy and golden, lacy. They're going to be crispy on the outside and warm on the inside.
All right.
And when I'm done with these, I'm just going to get in here.
In the meantime, really quickly, if you want to try Chef Rebecca Oren's recipe for wonderful potato latkes, all you got to do is come to our website, WTNH.com, click on Connecticut Style, and we will get you the link. Chef Rebecca Oren. All you're going to do now is just top it with some sour cream, but you replace it with what?
Greek yogurt mixed with a little bit of honey.
Oh, we love you, Rebecca. We love you. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
We've got